Excellent. So to introduce the very first of the 2017 webinar series from ODLAA, I would like to welcome Mutuota Kigotho, who is the president of ODLAA from the University of New England. Thank you very much, Mutuota.
Oh, thank you very much, Adrian, and I'd like to say congratulations for organizing this. And on behalf of ODLAA, I would like to welcome everyone to the webinar series. And I would like to say that we are very, very excited that you're able to join us. We are even more excited that we've got some of our own members of staff prepared to share some of the experiences that they have in their stations. And today we are very, very privileged to have staff from USQ, the University of Southern Queensland. We've got 3 speakers in the name of Bill Wade, Duane Roth, and Susan Brosnan. We are very excited about this, and we expect that we're going to be very well enriched with the presentation. So I think the order is going to be Bill Wade comes in first. And before I do that, let me also say that welcome to all those listening from out there. I can hear from, or I heard from Adrian that we've got people from Tasmania, people from RMIT, Federation University, and many, many other places. Welcome to the webinar series, and we hope you enjoy yourselves. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. That's wonderful to be part of the USQ team. My name is Bill Wade, and I am the manager of Educational Futures at USQ and have been since January. One of my very first and most important meetings, and by way of introducing this incredible, talented lady, I discovered I would be taking over a portfolio that would support emerging technologies at USQ. And that would be because talented Susan Brosnan is moving on to other things. And you can see Susan there now. Susan has that unique combination of having done an incredible amount of hands-on logistical coordination of fairly high-level events such as the A Code, but this particular project at USQ has probably tested her master's studies more than any other because it was so emergent. And very excited to have Susan run you through the program. But Susan, you're going to talk about agile principles and things that driven. Just handing over to you. What were your KPIs and how agile was it really?
Hi everyone, thanks for that, Bill. Can everyone hear me okay? Yep. Sure. Just talking to you a little bit about our KPIs for the project. There were only a couple, so really quite small. A couple of the things were improved access to and support to demonstrate innovation in learning and teaching technology. So that was a really, really big one. And of course, improved access to prior learnings and findings of innovative technology use. Bill just asked me just then, it was a really good question, has this project been agile? In a word, absolutely. Absolutely. And I must point out, I guess, before I go on that it's the first agile project I've done. So traditionally, I'm Prince 2 trained and certified. So my master's degree was around learning technologies, but certainly it was all around methodologies that we use here. So this is the first one I've ever done in relation to agile. Just a couple of the things demonstrators really favours in terms of agile is the courage. It's participation. Our timescale's always fixed, but everything, requirements, they emerge and evolve, and we expect that. So we accept and we expect change with this project. The flexibility was something I'd never ever encountered before, so just being able to change direction on a dime was wonderful. There's no fail here, which was wonderful as well. We don't have some predefined objectives that this project's going to achieve. There's no fail. We learn, we write it up, we learn, we move on. And there's not too much paperwork. So, yay.
Susan, are you going to begin sharing your screen?
I certainly will.
You got some neat stuff to show us.
I do. Just one moment. Just hoping you can all see this okay.
Excellent.
All right, just one moment. Everyone can see that okay? Yep.
You bet.
Great. All right.
Certainly can.
Wonderful, thank you. So this presentation, I've played with the ease here a bit. You can see that it's about emerging technologies, it's about exciting students, engaging educators and empowering learning. I felt those were the best way, I guess, to explain a little bit about what we're doing. I've got quite a few slides here, so I'm going to run through this as quick as I can. We also have online now our project manager, Mr. Duane Roth. So Demonstrators really sits underneath the One University Experience project, and Duane's our project manager, and you'll hear a little bit from him a little bit later on. All right, everyone, Technology Demonstrators 101. A little bit, first of all, I'd like to take you through just a little bit about this presentation. So there's some things that you should know, some stats, just to give you a little bit of context about USQ and our staff and students. Technology demonstrators, what they are and what they're not, how you become involved in a demonstrator, a little bit about how we do what we do. So we've developed a robust innovation management process, which we are constantly testing all the time, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. I'll talk about the uptake here at USQ, which has been really quite interesting. Our growth so far, just in terms of reach and cost, and I've cut those figures a number of different ways as well to have a look at. I'll take you through a couple of our most recent demonstrators, a little bit about what we've achieved, what's coming up, and a sneak peek at what we've done so far, as well as some learnings and challenges and observations. And there's some gotchas and some wins in that as well. All right, a little bit about some things that you should know. I guess this presentation's its learnings and challenges. It's really a snapshot in time. So this has been going for about 18 months, and it's by no means final. What I have for you today is, it really is a snapshot in time. And as I said, we're constantly testing and developing the model, and often learning as we go. I am not going to give you a great deal around impact today. I'll certainly be talking about reach and the numbers that we have to date. A little bit more around impact will come closer to September, when I hand this over out of project into business as usual, and Bill Wade's going to be taking that over. Of course, at the end of this presentation, we're very interested in your thoughts, observations and suggestions as well, so I can't wait to hear, I guess, or get a sense of how you guys do this. All right, a little bit about what technology demonstrators are not. So they're not about the latest and greatest technology. I'm always interested in the service that it provides. So what does it provide in a learning and teaching context? So the lens we look through with technology demonstrators is always about enhancing an academic's professional practice and also motivating and enhancing student learning. So it's the service it provides. I will go out, I'll road test a technology, we'll dive deep for 90 days, we'll see what this thing looks like and what it does in a learning and teaching context. Then we come back. If the institution deems that, let's say, for instance, it's going to be supported as a broader ICT solution, it then goes through our procurement processes, where the university would seek then three quotes to get the most appropriate product. So it's really about that service. What does it do with learning and teaching? It's not about every project being implemented and supported as an ICT solution as well. This is very much around learning. It's very much around trying to get some pockets of our universities to use things that may not be interested or may not work well with other areas. So, and it's always about learning, and I think that's really important as well. So a little bit about what it is about. It's about operationalising a platform for staff and students to experiment and explore new technologies or old technologies, or it may be about using an old technology in a new way. Definitely about technology diffusion, so getting technology into the hands of those that normally wouldn't touch it. and enhancing capability, and reducing that resistance to technology. And I'll talk a little bit about that as we go forward. There's been some interesting learnings here with our academic staff, and how they sort of embrace technology as part of their own professional practice. All right, I wanted to give you a little bit of sort of some stats on USQ staff and students to give you a little bit of context, so you'll understand, I guess, what we're working within. All right, we have 627 academic staff. 45% of them are female, 55% of them are male, but we are catching up. Length of service at USQ is really interesting. We've got 156 of our 627 that have been here for 20 years plus. I'm actually told that's sort of, when they say 20 years plus, they really mean it. So I've noticed with this project, some of our academic staff really do sort of err on the side of caution when it comes to technology. They don't like that ambiguity, I guess, in the classroom, or that uncertainty in the classroom, and that certainly has come through with some of the demonstrators that we've done. Just giving you a look at the age breakdown of some of our staff, most of them are between aged 50 to 54, a lot of 45 to 49ers, and only some that are less than 25 years of age. But 8%, I think that actually comes out at, are 65 years plus. So that's really interesting. A little bit around our students. You can see we've done a map up here that shows you where our students study. We have approximately 27,500 students. 85% of them are in Australia. 69% studying online and 31% studying on campus. So really interesting when I look at this. This is often the reason why we're sort of put into, or not forced into, but really want to embrace trying these new technologies because of because of where our students study. 57% age between 26 and 49 years of age, and 43 between 18 and 25 years of age. All right, here we go. This is demonstrators, everyone. A little bit about the idea and the origins of technology demonstrated. So it came from our Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academic Services. His name's Ken Udis. He was using this over in Penn State World Campus when he was over there. And it was really influenced by that general recognition that we need to continue to explore and discover innovative ways to facilitate teaching through technology. And I'd like to underline that if I can. That's really, really important. So, and the second sentence there is about really committing to and understanding that our most creative and practical ideas about teaching and learning come from teachers and learners. So what I mean around that is oftentimes, we will be part of ICT, and ICT is generally the one that goes out there, has a look at the technologies, and then sort of rolls it out to our staff and students and says, this is what you need to use. This is really sort of turning that model on its head and going out to our academic staff and our students and saying, what would you like to see? What do you need? Interestingly, sometimes with our academic staff, we've got our sort of 10% up the top that always know what they need, and we have some of our staff members that really don't know exactly what the technology should be, but my goodness, they always understand their challenges. And so that's where demonstrators have been able to come in and go away and try to source something that might assist with their learning and teaching. So the second sentence there, I think, is really important. It's turning that traditional model that we have here at USQ on its head and asking the learners and teachers what they'd like to see. So I've said all that, and what does it mean? I guess it's about how can we introduce innovation and support new ideas working outside of business as usual processes without the disruption of existing systems. I think that's what we're trying to do. A little bit around the methodology, and I think I mentioned this earlier. Their agile methodology, obviously, they have lots and lots and lots of parts of an agile methodology. I've just picked out a few here that I think that really sort of wrap up what we do. And as I said, it's about the flexibility, the participation, the courage, and accepting and expecting change. So we've had, and that's one of the things I love about Agile, we've had demonstrators that we've started, haven't really probably gone where we've wanted. No problems. We stop right there, write it up, we learn, we move on, we try to get something something that will work. One of the things I think is great in a project, and certainly something that Duane always talks to us about, is when you're doing this, have fun. Just have fun. So we've done up a bit of a dance. I am not sure if this is going to share quite too well, but this is the One University Experience project team, and I think we sort of say it best when we talk about Agile. So I'm going to try and start this for you. If it doesn't work, you will get this presentation at the end where you may be able to view it. Here we are, and I do apologise. We did this in 20 minutes. It was good fun. Goodness me. Should I apologise now? All right. Okay, I'm just going to try and get back to the slides. Everyone can hear me okay still?
Yeah, we can.
Great. Bill, did that WAV share okay?
Yeah, it did. It's just the audio was a little bit low, but I think people got the gist of it.
Yeah, shocking.
Most people know the music.
Sure.
But that was fun.
All right. Okay. A little bit about the strategic objective of the Technology Demonstrator project: enhance capability in our staff to fully utilise resources, promote innovation in technology and enabled learning and teaching. That was the key goal. So, what are they? Technology Demonstrators operationalise as a platform for staff to nurture excellence and explore new and innovative ways to introduce technology into the classroom. I've said before, it could be an old technology, it could be new technology, it could be using an old technology in a new way. It's 90 days. That's it. Ideas can come from anywhere. They're low cost, they're low barrier, and they are just simply a trial. But as I said, the lens we look through is to improve a lecturer's professional practice and motivate and enhance student learning. The outcomes are presented to the most senior people in the university, which is the One University Experience Project Board, which is Vice-Chancellor Down. 3 criteria to become involved in a demonstrator, and this is really important. We do believe that if you're unable to meet these 3 criteria, that that a demonstrator doesn't go ahead. So number 1 is that the project lead, oftentimes an academic staff member, must be able to express or articulate very clearly what it is they're trying to demonstrate. So here's my challenge. Here's what I want to be able to get out of it using technology. Criteria 2 is that it's no longer than 90 days or a traditional academic semester. And of course, criteria 3, no dependencies, low cost and low barrier. So these aren't $1 million projects. If they fall over, it doesn't matter. We've learned, and as I keep saying, we move on. Low cost, oftentimes we speak to vendors about trying to get some sort of a playground into their environment, and honestly, the amount of vendors that are out there that sort of say, absolutely, come at us, what have you got? Because they get to learn from this as well. And low barrier. I'm not mucking with any other systems, obviously working just outside those standard systems to see how this thing goes. Little bit around the uptake at USQ. This has been really quite astonishing. I think I mentioned we started this project, I think it was around about 18 months ago now, and it was just a position description on a piece of paper, so it was like, ugh, what's this thing going to look like? Look, it's been really exciting. The concept has grown organically and iteratively, and we've got a wait list of ideas. And as I just mentioned, we're constantly looking for vendors to work with us in our key learning and teaching areas. I think we're at about a 3-month wait to be able to come on board with a demonstrator to date. Briefly, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about how we do what we do. I feel like I'm going really fast here, but I'll do my best. This is a top-down view of how we do what we do at USQ. Number one is obviously the promotion of the startup. This is when I would go out and generally to learning and teaching committees, to school forums, to faculty members, anyone who'll listen really, just to talk about what it is that we're doing and what we're trying to achieve. Point number 2 there is the project idea is articulated, and this is when the academic would then come to me and say, okay, Susan, what I'm trying to demonstrate is this. I want to show that by using this technology, I'll be able to achieve this. Point number 3 then talks about the commitment and engagement. So here is when one of the wonderful things about demonstrators is that we've been able to, we're a team of 3 and we've been able to work when they have time. So this is not about us saying to them, sure, that's a great idea, we'll go and do what we need to do and we'll come back and we'll see you in a few months. This is ready and we start now. We then identify the technology, and we do a evaluation of the technology, and we start to look at the scope of the project then. Again, 90 days is quite lean. Demonstrator config, that's really the back end if I need to go through an ICT, if we need to contact our colleagues in EDD to start to look at configuration of the technology through the course itself. Point number 6 is where the demonstrator is executed, project close after 90 days, and then a presentation of the trial outcomes. And this is where you'll see there I've got point number 8 goes to 3 areas. We can go to a pilot, we could go to business adoption, or we can do a case study published for future learning. This process is a little bit more in depth than just this, but this gives you sort of a top-down view of the sorts of things that we look at. There is quite a lot more involved, however, it's really, it's reasonably quick. Okay. A little bit about growing the project and its reach so far. This just gives you some sense of the ones that we've been able to do so far. And at the end of this presentation, if you do, I think Adrian was saying we will be able to give the presentation out to you all. Click around on these branches, and you'll start to see exactly what some of the ones that we've done. There is quite a lot more than that we've done to date as well. So I've started to cut the figures up, just sort of to find out, how we've done, what we've done. These figures were taken in March of this year, and this looks at student and staff involvement. So out to the right there, you'll notice the schools that we've been able to touch with technology demonstrators, and the numbers there. So we have 27,000 students, and we have been able to get 9,108 students and staff involved in demonstrator projects since they commenced around about 18 months ago. This is just another breakdown of the figures. As I said, I tried to sort of cut it a few ways, but it shows there in 2015 we had 1,693 people participate. 2016, 3031, and 2017, 4384. Interestingly, there's only been about 3 schools that we haven't been able to get involved at this point. But we're working on it. Well, actually, Bill's going to be working on it. All right, a little bit about what's coming up. Brain A is coming up. This came out of a conversation I had with our Deputy Vice Chancellor's students. He was saying to me, Susan, we've got a lot of academic staff who have quite thick accents. And that's a problem for students with disabilities, but it's also a problem for students who do not have disabilities. So having a look at the Brain A, that'll be a demonstrator that'll run across likely August. We have 5 academics with very, very thick accents involved in that one. And I understand, so this one, now let me get this right, this is speech to text conversion using Brain A. These guys are able to record their lectures, and it will convert it to I think it's about 24 or 40 different languages that they have. I'm sorry, I'd have to look that up. What's neat about this is that it has about a 90% accuracy rate. So every other one of the speech-to-text software applications that we've had a look at in the past, it hasn't been anything like 90%, which is great. Also having a look at MAV, which is a Moodle activity viewer. So that's happening in August to September. That's around learning analytics. We have a Moodle LMS here at USQ, so this is around click activity. A little bit about, we'll be having a look at peer-wise, VFAIR. Now, VFAIR I'm going to talk to you about in a little bit more depth in a couple of moments. Also having a look at Facebook through our tertiary preparation and program courses as well. Trying to see if we can get a little bit more engagement using Facebook. And Articulate Storyline, Bill's going to be looking at that one through August and September as well. As I said, I'm going to take you through just a couple of case studies, a couple of our most recent demonstrators. First one was VFAIR. Now, I'm not sure if any of you have ever heard of VFAIR, but VFAIR is used heavily by the likes of Nestle over in the States and a couple of other massive corporations over there. It is a virtual fair, if you like. We've used it just last week, ran it from so the 18th to the 22nd of July, so sorry, 2 weeks ago, and we used it as a virtual vacation and volunteer fair. This just gives you a sense of some of the booths that are in there, and on the left is our Alison Dixon Lecture Theatre here at USQ, and on the right there is one of the employer booths. We designed 4 booths for our employers to be able to participate in. All right, so it's simply a platform to host virtual events, and we did this one in combination with our student services and disability resources as well. The idea simply, so this is the motivation, this is what they were articulating to me, that they wanted to replace the traditional career fair. And look, for so many reasons. You could only come to our traditional career fairs if you were in and around the Toowoomba region. If you were, or you were on campus, we have a lot of employers. I understand this follows quite a national calendar of employers just going from event to event to event. And so the goal there was to enable more of our USQ students, again, you've seen the map, they study at quite a distance, to be able to participate in this, and also for our employers to see, if they might be able to do it without the cars full of promotional gear, the setup, the out of the office, all that sort of stuff as well. So the motivation here, connect employers with all USQ students, not just those who live nearby. And obviously, it takes that weight in terms of costs off off a lot of our students and staff, as well as our employers. And so, the goal of this was to enable students to understand the advantages of participating in a volunteer and vacation program, and it's all about enhancing those employability skills. So this one. This one was interesting. It was a little bit outside the scope of a normal demonstrator in that this team and I had to do some really heavy lifting on this one. VFair is located in the US, so we had a lot of us working when they're sleeping. We had to do all of the graphics and images and that sort of stuff. Then send it over to them for them to put it in their system. This one was longer than 90 days, so here's me giving you a case. So generally they don't, they run only 90 days. This one was longer than 90 days, but simply because it was such a massive USQ initiative. We had to do comms plans, we had some hiccups with legal, so that's why we didn't do it as our normal career fair. We missed that schedule. It was just the volunteer and vacation fair. So lots of cross-divisional input, and also there was a teaser campaign that went out with marketing. But, and this is, I guess, what's really important, we had a very highly motivated team and we had the skill set. So it was, it was a goer. Just very briefly, some preliminary numbers, and I do say these are preliminary at this point. The demonstrator only wrapped last Saturday, so we will get those numbers a little bit closer to the to wrapping it all up. Initially, again, when I'm talking about this, we went to VFair. We said to them, "Okay, we want to run a demonstrator. These are the goals. This is the clear motivation. We want to, if we can, participate." In a play pit, sand pit environment. We did a deal with them, which was wonderful, and they said, "Look, here you go. You can have 25 booths. You can have all this different stuff. We'll happily work with you." So, to give you some context around that, it's around $8,000 to run one fair. They charged us $1,000 just to have a look at it to see what it does. But the interest, that was what was incredible. We had 25 booths originally that we sort of had to go and talk to employers about this. We increased it to 35 straight away. The uptake and the employers were just so keen to get involved in this. We had 5 internationals and 30 national companies participate. 676 student registrations and 149 USQ staff registrations. This was amazing. This was students be in there having a look around all the career fairs, all the jobs. I think there were 116 jobs listed, and academic staff were in there talking to their students saying, "Hey, you might want to go and have a look at this. How about this one?" So that was really great. We had 2,058 booth visits and on average about 59 visits per booth. Incredible comments from employers. As I said, they were saying, "Susan, this is wonderful. I have to get a cup of coffee, come and sit down, man my computer. I'm not going outside the office. I'm not doing anything. I'm able to talk with students in real time. I'm able to, they're able to upload their CVs. It was just amazing for them. So that was really great. We are sending out a survey to students this week to see what they thought as well. We also sent out a bit of a challenge to our ICT and SILS, which is the Scholarly Information and Learning Services, to consider other applications for this in a learning and teaching space as well. So that's really, really important. We've been getting some great ideas back on that as well. Next one, I'm just conscious of the time. It's 25 to 3, so I'm going to talk through this one as quick as I can. Clara Reid. Clara Reid, this one was done with our team and also Disability Resources, and it was initiated by Disability Resources. They currently use programs like Dragon and that sort of stuff. Clara Reid Cloud, interestingly, is used very heavily at QUT and UQ and also a lot of big universities over in the UK. We have about 900 students registered with Disability Services. We have 2 FTE operational support staff sitting there constantly converting materials and reformatting them, to alternate delivery formats. You can read there a little bit about what Clara Reid actually does. So we've got operational support officers sitting there converting this material. Clara Reid does everything that they are doing. So the OCR, turning images into text, inbuilt dictionaries assisting with understanding a word. So this is great for students who have a disability, but it's also wonderful for students who don't. And it reads 24 different languages, and it's got a really sophisticated word prediction and phonetic spell checking as well. That is just this much, honestly, of what Clara Reid can do. This demonstrator was done, when was it done? About a month ago now, I think. We thought this is going to be a pretty simple one. They know what it is they want to trial. We know what the motivation is. Let's get this done. No, it was not. It was not simple at all. We had a lot of issues around compliance here at USQ. So I'm going to talk you through just a couple of the wins and gotchas there as well. We had lots of problems with our Q contracts, legal. The issue was that Clara Reid is an offshore supplier. There were concerns around copyright. And I say we got there in the end, we did, but it is a continuing conversation about how we mitigate all this stuff. So we have a university that is very compliant. Its appetite for risk is very, very low, yet, there's innovation as well. So somewhere we need to find sort of that happy medium. Just some stats around that one. We had 522 teaching staff and 3,243 conversions of materials during the 90 days. We're now actually doing some interviews with academics and also with a number of our students with disabilities to find out what they thought and how it enabled their professional practice, but also how it motivated their student learning as well. Okay. So that's a little bit about two of the bigger demonstrators that we've done recently. I'm going to point you toward a Technology Demonstrators website. I think it's technologydemonstrators at usq.edu.au in time, and that's going to show you everything that we've done to date. But in the 18 months since we've started, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what we've achieved. We have delivered 26 technology demonstrators and evaluated over 60 technologies. We've developed a transparent innovation process model and demonstrated the value of the agile approach and its people-centric nature. I think that's been incredible. We've built a secure and supported innovation model working outside existing USQ processes. Developed some incredible connections. If I could say anything to you about this project, it's been about the relationships, building those real relationships with real people. I don't know, I'm a professional staff member, so I'm not an academic staff member, I haven't really gone out there and sold the pedagogy angle. Oftentimes these guys know what they're doing. It's just about us enabling and facilitating and operationalizing that platform for them to be able to do this. I should also mention that the other two on the team as well, they're professional staff members as well. Media interest. This has been incredible. We've had, that says 60, it actually should be around 80 national and international journals that have been involved in this, which has been great. We've had TV channel interviews, radio interviews nationally and internationally as well, and also our Executive Director of ICT Services is taking the Technology Demonstrator Initiative to EDUCAUSE in Philadelphia later this year as well. So that's fantastic. I think it's actually the first time USQ has been represented there. So, yeah, good times. Yay. So I've personally presented at a couple of different conferences, and it's also gone over to the University of Hong Kong and a couple more here nationally as well. It's also a very popular topic at a lot of our Linear Teaching Celebration events and staff ed events that we have here at USQ. All right. Quickly, conscious of the time, Susan, some learning, some challenges and some observations. When I first started this, I was thinking about how am I going to do this? What does this thing look like? I really knew we had some great people doing some great stuff here at USQ. So it was, I wanted to sort of target those academics that this was going to resonate with. But once that was done, I started to think about how am I going to challenge those targeting? How am I going to challenge those that this is going to challenge? So that was certainly interesting. couple of things we expected: usual suspects doing some great things. There is a resistance and reluctance and confidence in trying new technologies. Bit of a USQ legacy. We've always done things. We're doing things the way we've always done them. Little things I didn't expect, the appetite to participate. So when we originally started, we aimed at about 3 per semester, and we've actually doubled that, which is great. At one point, we had 10 running at once. Level of technical ability of some of our teaching staff and the support at startup. And during the demonstrator as well, a lot of people were interested, but they weren't confident. But I really felt that shouldn't exclude them from the demonstrator, and the level and depth of compliance, and I touched on that a couple of moments ago. Things that we've learned: relationships. I've spoken about that. It's critical to success. We work outside normal processes, normal operations, normal everything. So it's been really important that you have those relationships with other members of staff. Again, teaching staff may not know the best technology, but they always understand their challenges. We had a little bit of fun around expectation management, so getting people to understand very clearly what happens after a demonstrator. All right. Final word from me. Yay. If we know that learning and teaching at USQ needs to be personal, it needs to be useful, and because of the students we have, it needs to be absolutely everywhere, and we know that teachers often teach as they were taught, then we really do need new tricks for old challenges. On that, I'm going to hand over to our wonderful project manager just to talk you a little bit through his around what we did from a project level. Thanks, everyone. I will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Susan. You did very well there getting through all of that content. So I just really wanted to, if there were particular questions on this, I really don't know where everyone's interest might be here, but I guess just from an overarching project perspective, as Susan mentioned initially, this was, so our bigger project is a 3-year project that covered all sorts of different things, from an online portal to better use of data to technology and training. So I had obviously, scope to boost resources, pull back resources across all those things as required. One thing we didn't know going into this is what we were going to need to be able to implement this or to get it off the ground and to get some interest here. So we really just started with one resource, as in Susan, and we approached, academics who were already doing this kind of thing. I think as that grew, it kind of coincided nicely with some downtime in other parts of the project. So we were able to make fairly strategic decisions, about which demonstrators to support, so that we could, encourage maybe schools that weren't participating as actively as others. And we also used here, we got access to students. So we're able to get a couple of third-year film and TV students and students interested in multimedia. And that was a very cost-effective way for a project to get access to additional resources, and also win-win for those students who now have sort of real-life things that they can put into their portfolio. So that's been a great learning for us. What else? I probably had lots of other things, but I really also didn't want to take up too much time because I'm keen to hear questions and also what everyone else is doing. One thing, of course, is that we've been preparing on how to transition this program over into normal business operations. And that's where, Bill, I'll hand over to you maybe to give some insight there. But it's a massive part of the planning here is how do we sustain this, so that people are confident that the work that's gone into it can move forward. So Bill, I'll hand over.
Hey, thanks very much for that, Duane. Scalability is everything. Susan, if you're listening, do you mind just advancing to my slide, just running the show, because your screen is up. It'll be just easier, I think. Thank you. Nice. Well, hello, everybody. I'll start my video camera just so I can shake my hand, and so you know who's talking to you. Um, Moving out of project mode and into a business as usual kind of environment really was about taking a very, very good process that was part of Project Land and had dedicated people to it, and saying, do we actually have people on the ground who could help move this innovation management process right through to their usual operation with working with academic staff? Susan, next slide, please. So the thing that we really were looking at was, if it's going to be business as usual, according to the diffusion of innovation models, it has to fit within the actual culture and align very well. And so we began asking the question, you know, is there actually an appetite for this sort of thing within our sector? Is there a culture of exploring and experimenting? And I just borrow here from a study that was done by my former employer, Navitas, looking at academic attitudes towards technology. And it was very interesting. They did this global study, and they reached over 1,500 staff surveyed. And if you look at the right-hand bottom corner, there's a couple of things that really pop out to me. Is that from their global study, 40% of the teachers, so under half, are saying nothing stops them from teaching with technology. So it's clear that there needs to be supports and prompts. But if you look at the one below that, I really like the attitude of 75% of teachers willing to take an active approach to talking, recommending, and sharing technology ideas. So you wonder why the 35% difference there. And as we look into it a little bit deeper, generally we find is that when staff have more capability to try, select, and test some of their own technologies rather than just using the existing systems that are given to them, there's a higher enthusiasm towards technology. So we're trying to move a little bit from only having systems that we give to staff and things we do to staff around technology to including them in the decision-making process. And if we can incorporate that and more of that, it will just naturally become business as usual at USQ. Next one, please, Susan. Wow, I really actually love having somebody move slides for me. Thanks, Susan. That's great. So the innovation decision process, a lot of people are probably familiar with Roger's model. I'd just be kind of curious if people are across that. So let Duane and Susan know how many of you, just with a yes or no, have seen the diffusion model. But Roger's thought was that the whole process around innovation and decision process was really had to pass through knowledge of innovation forming, and then on to a decision to adopt or reject, to implement the new idea, and then to confirm this particular decision. So he provided a whole model for us to think about. And when I think of business as usual, I thought, what can we take from Roger's model, some proven understandings about helping influence the innovation decision process, and use it at USQ. So next slide, please, Susan. Just one back, thank you. So really what I was thinking and focusing on with the team here, with our educational designers and media developers and the people who actually work with the academics here at USQ, is to understand the 5 main steps within the process, and really starting with the knowledge occurring when the individual is exposed to the existence of an innovation and gain some understanding. And that's the core point that we're really driving in the business as usual model, is to using the mechanisms we have to really enhance and give people opportunity to gain knowledge about opportunities. The persuasion, the decision side of that, we want that to be authentic, and we want that to come from staff who have been able to demonstrate that something is of use to them in their teaching and learning. So just to summarize, transitioning into the business as usual process is just working with our existing teams, working with them and the academic staff that they help facilitate course improvements and design, and help them through that whole knowledge formation and through to confirmation of a demonstration. You might remember that demonstrators don't always fail, or don't always win, but we gain insights and knowledge from a demonstrator going both ways. So I'll leave that with you, and we'd just like to prompt if there's anything else you'd like to ask us about technology demonstrators.
So we'll open the floor for questions at the moment. So if you do have any questions for any of the team, just feel free to unmute and go from there.
Oh, hello, presenters. That was very good. I just want to ask a quick question. Coming from the language used in the slides and the stuff that you said, for instance, Bill, you just said demonstrators never fail. Isn't that a little bit rich to say?
I'll take that on since I was the one who said it, and I'll pass it to Susan. No, just kidding. I guess the notion is that we learn from a demonstration, and that we're not really pushing heavily for a positive outcome for everything that gets trialed. So even if something doesn't work in a particular context, we don't necessarily see that as failure. We see it as learning. We also accept the fact that it might just be the context within which it was tried to be demonstrated in that might determine whether it fails or not. But we're trying to create a culture of risk-taking and exploration, and accepting that everything doesn't necessarily come out with a 100% win. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's all right. I was also a little curious. A little earlier on, Susan did talk about demonstrators executed or demonstration executed. And the word executed sounded rather harsh if you think in terms of executions, literally, but I'm sure she didn't want to say that. But just,
that's not what I meant. It was more about I guess the amount of demonstrators that we've been able to achieve across the 18 months. Okay, I'll reword executed.
Okay, that's all for me.
Thanks, Moon.
I see a good question in there just from Jonathan about how does a demonstrator get spread to other discipline areas. Jonathan, it's about communication really, and the demonstrator website is one place. We also use an e-publication magazine called JUMag and put stories and videos and testimonies in. But it's really about the mechanisms and the pickup when people will really hear about demonstrators. And so we've started introducing and socializing demonstrators more directly and explicitly at our learning and teaching celebrations, because we are a multi-campus environment. So we get around to do some of that. We depend a fair bit on people sharing, and we depend a fair bit on being invited around to the school planning sessions. So in the business as usual model, the department I work in, program quality enhancement, we help staff through the program reaccreditation process and also through course development. And what that allows us to do is really, review the technology demonstrators, the successes or the failures that we've had, even though they don't fail, right? To get the word out there and spread it across the university.
Mm. Bill Beverley's asked a question about how many of the demonstrators have not been successful this time round, but would be looked at again in a different context. And Beverley, if you don't mind, I might just touch on that. That's I guess what the website's all about, is making sure that, if we did something, 2 years ago or whatever, people can go, have a look at that. What happened in that context? It's really not about being all things to everyone. it's being about it's about having a look at something for 90 days and seeing whether it does what it needs to do. It might be for 10 students. It may not be a full ICT rollout. But that's certainly people are able to look at this at any time they want to, and if they wanted to revisit something, certainly we do it, because a different context is exactly that, completely different.
Oh, I have one more question, Susan, and this is in relation to the international uptake of this kind of a project. You have mentioned first that there's some people in America you're working with, and you have also mentioned the fact that you've presented at international conferences, including a conference in Hong Kong. And I was just wondering whether you can tell us what you've learned from the international conferences. What has been the response of the people listening to this demonstrator program?
Good question. So it wasn't me that presented at the international conferences. It was Associate Professor Jackie McDonald. She's since left us. She presented on technology demonstrators as a part of. It was only part of a picture of the new the new SILS model. All the feedback we got was that it was really the uptake was it was really worth presenting for them to see how a regional university deals with innovation and the issues we have around compliance. That was sort of where she was headed with it. Yeah, I understand it was very well received. I'm sorry, that was actually well over a year ago now. I've presented it at a couple of conferences here in Australia, and it's been incredible. I guess the big thing, and it's always when I put that slide in about what does this cost, what did it cost to roll out 26 projects? Notice I didn't use the word execution. To roll out 26 projects, what did it cost? And it was around about $2,500. And I think that's been it's important to know that's not including our salaries, of course, but being able to work with vendors to test and play, that's what it's cost for all of the projects. So this is really about lean startup, lean everything. Does that sort of help?
That's excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Now, I am conscious of the time, that you've all been very generous in giving us an hour of your time. And as we come much closer to 3 o'clock, what I might do is just pull things to a close here. We'll get this up and running on the ODLAA YouTube channel as soon as possible. That will be done by the end of the week at the latest. And what I will also do is ask the demonstrator folks who have been presenting here if there are any links that they would like included as part of the description for the video. So that will enable any of our audience or those looking at it further on to then follow through those links and explore things if they are interested. So I'm going to hand over now to Mutuota to close things, to thank our presenters and also our audience. Thanks very much, Mutuota. We've just lost him for the moment, so I will just see if I can get a hold of him, and then we will go from there.
Thank you, Adrian. I had not switched on my unmute button, so that's why I was just talking to myself. I'm sorry. On behalf of ODLAA, the Open and Distance Learning Association, for which I'm the president, I'd like to thank all the presenters today, and most important of all, Susan, who has been the lead presenter, and somebody who has come running away from about 6 children and got here in time. Thanks, Susan. I think what you've given us is a lot of very rich content. We appreciated that. And the support crew were also very good. And we appreciate the fact that you spared time to assist us with all this knowledge and to share a very exciting webinar with us. And on behalf of ODLAA, I'd like to say thank you very much, and we hope to hear more from you if you are not executed.
Thanks, Roth. It's lovely to meet you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone.
Yep.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for attending, and I will stop the recording now, and we'll get this up as soon as we possibly can. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Adrian.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Bye, everyone.
Adrian.